I'm joined now by artist Lee Rainboth. Lee, thank you for being here. I was telling you, I started doing my research and I was like, where do I even begin with this guy? Your whole life and your artistic journey is pretty incredible. Tell me when you first realized you were an artist.
Yeah, well, I've always known I was an artist ever since I was a kid. If you had asked me when I was 5 years old what I was going to be when I grew up, I'd have told you an artist. Like, it's always been my path.
What did that mean to you as a 5-year-old? Did you have an idea of what that was going to look like, or did you just know you were going to be creative?
There's no way I could have imagined that it would have looked like what it does now.
Yeah.
You know, as you said, my journey as an artist has taken me a lot of different places and evolved in a way that I never knew that an artist could be what I've become in a way. But you know, I grew up in Iowa in a small town on a farm, so I didn't really have a sort of representation of what life as an artist or a career as an artist would look like. So in that way, I kind of was able to create it myself, you know, and take it wherever I wanted to, which is what I've done. So yeah.
You absolutely have, literally, you have taken it sort of all over. So how do you go from a farm in Iowa to a world traveler? What sort of was the impetus for that?
Yeah, well, I think probably because I grew up in that small town on a farm in Iowa, that was sort of what inspired me to be like, where can I use my art to take me beyond, you know, the small town upbringing that I had, and experience the world in different ways. So I went to college at Iowa State University, studied art there, and when I was there, I got to do some studying abroad in West Africa, which is kind of what really inspired me to understand my art in context of the world and different cultures and how we understand each other and how art can really be used to build community amongst people in different places around the world. I got to work with some really incredible artists there that became real mentors to me and have carried through my career as sort of mentors and inspirations for me. And so through that experience, I kind of, you know, realized that sort of art can have that power to connect you to other places and other cultures and really help us understand each other better. And like I said, just build community in different ways. So started looking for other opportunities, and that's what's led me many other places.
All over,
so,
yeah. Okay, so we have to talk about Haiti because it became a huge part of your life, personally and artistically. So what made you decide to make that move?
Yeah, after graduating from college, getting my degree, again, I kind of just knew I didn't want to stay and be an artist in Iowa. You know, nothing against Iowa, appreciate Iowa, but you know, I wanted to find sort of a different place to experience and really develop my art. Found this opportunity in Haiti. It was with a Fair Trade Artisans group that was looking for some volunteers to come down and work with some craftspeople there, fair trade artisans who make crafts to sell in fair trade stores. That group actually sells some stuff here in Fort Wayne at Creative Women of the World. The founder of that organization actually traveled to Haiti with me. Long story, but the first time I ever went to Haiti.
But how cool that it's all connected.
Right. It's kind of come full circle.
Yeah.
But Lorelei, the founder of Creative Women of the World, yeah, she was one of the first people that I traveled to Haiti with back in 2007. But yeah, I originally just signed up to volunteer for 6 months. But the art and the culture and the people there just kind of felt so much of a home for me that I ended up staying 13 years. Worked with that organization for a few years, but went on to work with different groups of artists down there in many different ways. Started a couple organizations down there myself and just really became part of the community, and it sort of led to what's really influenced my art, obviously, over the next being there and living there for 13 years. Just setting up my home and becoming part of that community. My art then sort of grew into how do I reflect this community that I've become a part of, how do I tell their stories a little bit more to the world, and how do I also use my art to bring awareness and educate other people about their creativity and the stories that they're trying to tell, and how art is so powerful and so important to them.
That's
So,
such a huge mantle to take up, you know? I mean, to not only have that revelation, but then to say, okay, I'm going to work to make my art reflect that, is quite the undertaking. Before we get further into that, I want to know what it was specifically, or maybe there were several things about the Haitian culture that you just really connected with and fell in love with.
so many things. I ended up living in this rural part of Haiti, in the southern part of Haiti, out in the mountains, just beautiful natural environment to be in, inspirational just in that sense of just the natural beauty that I was surrounded with, but also the people of Haiti and their culture. They use art and creativity so much to express their freedom. It's been such a source of their own story of liberation and revolution that I think it's something really powerful for artists around the world to sort of understand and integrate into our art and how we create the work that we do. I think something that even a lot of artists in other places around the world that haven't had the same experiences sort of take for granted, in the way that art can have that power for people and culture. And so, but I think it's still very important and relevant no matter where you are at in the world. So art is just part of who they are. There in Haiti.
So as you are working with these craftspeople, what medium are you predominantly using to create?
Well, originally, when I originally went down there and working with fair trade artisans, you know, they were making all sorts of crafts from whatever materials they could find, a lot of natural materials, recycled materials. But where I was living is also in proximity to Jacmel, which is like the artistic capital of the country, the biggest artistic city in the country where all the artists congregate and live, and the most incredible art in the country is created there. And so eventually I got more connected with that community, and there are painters, there are sculptors, there's filmmakers, there's photographers, there's musicians and dancers, and you know, just every sort of discipline you can imagine that is really creating incredible work there in the city of Jacmel. So yeah, there I got to get connected to just artists of all different types and styles and genres, all different materials. Myself, my background's in painting, 2D painting, drawing work, that's what I studied. But through my life and work with artists down there, I started integrating more mixed media into my work, used a lot of sequins and glitter and those sorts of things.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, those are things that are very relevant to Haitian culture. The sequins come from their voodoo spiritual traditions and culture there. It's very much a part of integrating things into the work that reflect light in different ways and can bring the viewer into a different sort of experience with the art rather than just something flat that you're looking at on the wall. But they actually use sequins and things when they're in their ceremonial experiences to really bring sort of a trance-like experience into the work, and it has to do with not just the sequins and that they put on these flags that they're waving around and there's candlelight flickering, but there's also drumming, there's also dancing, there's also chanting and singing and all these things, you know, the scents and the smells and offerings all kind of working together. So
you're just enveloped. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so to me, I mean, art's always been about creating some sort of spiritual experience and spiritual connection with the viewer, so integrating that into my art was important, even though, you know, that's not my experience, it's not my culture. It's something that is still relevant to the work that I'm trying to create, and it reflects, again, the community that's reflected in the work that I make. So
as your experiences evolved, so did your art.
Yeah, absolutely, and continues to.
I'm sure. I mean, I hope that all artists can say that, right?
Yeah.
So you're in Haiti for 13 years.
Yeah.
What brings you back stateside?
You
can give me the Cliff's Notes version.
I moved in 2020, and honestly, after 13 years in Haiti, I love my life in Haiti. You know, still consider Haiti home in a way, but just kind of got to a point where it was time to move on and try something different. Haiti in general got to a point where I needed to sort of move away to even the work that I do with those artists. It was important for me to move somewhere where we could exhibit their art to other communities more and share their art with in other places in a different way, and to do that I need more stability in the US in order to do that. So came here honestly to work with the Fort Wayne Dance Collective, which is who I work with now. I'm the executive director there here in Fort Wayne as well.
And how do you make that transition? What was that like?
Yeah, I have friends who work at the Dance Collective who I knew before I moved here. I was very involved in some organizations and activities in Indianapolis for many years, served on a board of directors for an organization down there, got to know some artists there, also got connected with some artists up here in Fort Wayne. So I had some friends at the Dance Collective. When they were looking for a new executive director, I literally sent them a text message just joking like, hey, should I come be your boss? And did not imagine it was actually going to happen, but here I am.
Yes.
And I've really enjoyed it, really love the work that we get to do there at the Dance Collective. It makes sense in the trajectory of everything that I've been doing about the way that that organization builds community and uses its art and creation to really create a sense of belonging and identity. Yeah, so when I moved, it's still, even now, living in Fort Wayne, doing the work that I do, I still stay very connected to that community in Haiti, and everything that I experienced and all the work that I did there still influences the decisions that I make here and the work that I do even here locally in Fort Wayne, of how do I connect people to each other and use art in a way that does sort of open up our world a little bit more. And I still paint all the time, still have my own studio at my home, you know, still create my own work. And a lot of that is me personally continuing to try and navigate and stay connected both to that child from Marcus, Iowa, but also the person that I became through all these other travels and experiences and all these other communities that I continue to be connected to, and how do I carry that through in everything that I do.
Well, Lee, I'm sure as a kid in Iowa that you didn't envision yourself back in the Midwest here in Fort Wayne, but I'm so glad you're here. We are so lucky to have you.
Hey,
and I'm so glad that the Dance Collective found you because, or you found them, or you found each other, because as I hear you talk and I understand your passion, it really is their whole thrust. So
yeah, absolutely.
They are lucky to have you. We as a community are lucky to have you. Thank you for all you do.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by